Alright, let's look at the state of HTML. By the way, the reason these examples are so unstyled is that hypermedia in its raw form is just client-side markup and logic on the server side. So the only styling I've applied to these examples is larger than default font size and the centering of the content in the browser. So here's this message resource that we've been looking at in the last episode. And let's look at what the markup looks like for the different parts of it. So here we can, specifically, I want to look at hypermedia controls and how forms are marked up. So this is where we reply to message 1. Let's view source. So form action says go to this URL here. And the method we're using is post. Okay. Let's go back and look at this form here. Here we can reapply the flag for the message. Very simple, very primitive, but it works as a demonstration. Again, there is this form element. The attribute says messages/1, and the method we're using is post. Although we're not creating any new resource here. This was the case in the reply case. There is a new resource created, a reply to the message, but not here. Here the message is being updated. Well, if we look a little closer at what's going on here, there is this input field with the type hidden, the name method with an underscore, and with a value of patch. So it looks like Sinatra uses this to explicitly tell the server that although the method says post in the form, what we really want the server to do is to apply the patch method. Let's look at this on this server side. Let me just fast forward here. So this is the route that handles this page. There is no logic here because it's just a clickable prototype. Let's post a reply and inspect what's going on using pry. Submit. Have a look at params. Title, body as expected. ID as expected. Okay. Let's instead look at what happens in the patch handler. Flag this as spam, submit. View params. And here is our hidden input field here, the values. Method is patch, and the flag, the value of flag is spam. And if you want to see it in the view file, here it is. Right here. So the reason we have to apply this workaround is that hypermedia in the browser, as it's currently implemented, is broken. We have 5 core HTTP verbs for manipulating resources. Get fetches a resource, post creates a new one, put and patch, update an existing resource, and then delete deletes the resource. However, here's the current implementation. The ones in red are not implemented in browsers. So imagine if this was a car with 4 wheels, get, post, 1, 2, and then put and patch are 1 wheel, and then delete is the 4th wheel. So a car with 4 wheels and only 2 of them are working. That's the state of HTML, or rather hypermedia, in the browsers. So even with JavaScript turned off, we experience limitations in how hypermedia works. And Roy Fielding has this to say about code on demand, in other words, scripting. This is from the seminal dissertation, the year 2000. The final addition to our constraint set for REST comes from code on demand style of section 353. REST allows client functionality to be extended by downloading and executing code in the form of applets or scripts. This simplifies clients by reducing the number of features required to be pre-implemented. So here he's explicitly stating that simplicity is a goal, is a design goal for browsers. Moving on, allowing features to be downloaded after deployment improves system extensibility. However, it also reduces visibility and thus is only an optional constraint within REST. So there is some debate as to what he meant by visibility, but what he essentially is saying here is that if you switch your JavaScript off and just use hypermedia controls, your application should be completely functional. In other words, hypermedia, or HTML in our case, can be powered only by links and forms. But what that also means for us is that hypermedia that's powered only by links and forms and 2 HTTP verbs makes for a very limited user experience and a very limited developer experience as well. And this is where htmx comes in. It allows us to extend the browser in a way that's more in harmony with hypermedia's original design.